The wheat harvesting season for the John Deere affiliate having slowed to a trickle, Gary having decided on a weekend journey to Oklahoma City to visit his daughter Marlo. The trip being the inaugural road trip for his 1951 Dodge pickup. Having never utilized the Dodge for traveling out of town, he garnered some concern, not about its endurance or any unforeseen mechanical problems, but obtaining the necessary rate of advancement. With its low-speed axle, and wide open in fourth gear, the Dodge might be able to muster 55 miles per hour, possibly 60 with a tailwind. It was the temporal longevity of being on the road that was a perturbing factor, not wanting to spend an extra hour getting to his daughter's house. Deciding to embark after work on a Friday evening, the warm Kansas summer wind blowing in as he crossed the railroad tracks a mile south of Kiowa into Oklahoma. The steady sound of the engine keeping him company, the westward sun presenting an effervescent glow on the remnants of the once flowing fields of wheat, painting a peaceful and solace picture. Gary turning east at the 8-mile corner onto Highway 8 through Burlington, then south to Highway 11 electing to abort the alternate means through Cherokee. Proceeding on the unimpeded highway paralleling the north side of the Great Salt Plains Lake, past the popular natural water flowing artesian well just off the highway, being familiar with its history. In 1954, Eddie Brickman, the owner of the property, deciding he needed an irrigation water source, hiring a man to dig a well. Both the owner and the well digger being pleasantly surprised after going down only 25 feet, discovering a continuous flowing artesian water source. Through the years, even though on private property, owner Eddie accommodated passing visitors in accordance to fill containers with the unblemished water. The jogging south 132 turnoff being noted, the grain elevators giving notice of Highway 64 and the community of Nash, Oklahoma, a one-block way stop with a convenience gas station, bar, and restaurant. 2 mile east, back on 132 south, the vastness of the Oklahoma plains encompassing the horizon until another jog east, making in accordance with Highway 81, the southern dictate to Oklahoma City. The Dodge was performing admirably, the 6-cylinder flathead, 218 CID engine at a resonant RPM. An appreciated breeze flowing through the open windows as the pickup circumvented downtown Enid. Gary on familiar territory. Through Waukamas, Bison, approaching the proud community of Hennessy. Once a booming oil town spewed with multiple yards of field equipment, nodding donkeys, and an oil refinery. Its ever-present gas burn-off flame lighting the night sky. An article in Motor Trend magazine documented Dover, Oklahoma as a speed trap town, the 65 miles per hour speed limit reduced to 25 within a quarter of a mile. The local denizen well aware of the imperilment, a quandary to new visitors passing through. Entering Kingfisher with its booming 2,000 population, having experienced the demise of the oilfield exploration, but reinvented with an influx of Oklahoma City affluent personage to bolster the local economy, revitalizing the town as a manicured and attired citadel, complete with all the condiments of fast food, and expediency of organizational pride. The final rural vestige before Oklahoma City was Okarche, a one-traffic light event community. Gary, satisfied with the Dodge's performance, anxious to see an end to the time-consuming journey, suddenly noticing a red flashing light in his rear-view mirror. Aborting his progression, pulling over to the curb, a young police officer approached. Gary getting prepared to show him his license, insurance, and registration. But instead the young officer, wanting to know where Gary was coming from and going, finally asking, "Do you know why I stopped you?" Gary exhibited his perplexities, discerning that he wasn't speeding, but realized he had a Kansas plate. Responding that he lived in Kiowa and was on his way to Oklahoma City to visit his daughter, and had no idea why he was stopped. The young representative of the law in a lecturer's voice asked if he was aware that the pickup was missing a tail light. Gary thought for a minute, then rendering an explanation. The Dodge was built with no turn signals and only one tail light. In Kansas the pickup was legal. The officer was hesitant, removing himself back to his vehicle. Gary could see him in the mirror engaging the radio. Returning, he rendered that he had called dispatch, and indeed Gary was right. The old Dodge with one tail light was legal. The ride to Oklahoma City was uneventful until venturing onto the 6-lane 240 bypass south, the Dodge at maximum speed attaining all of 55 miles per hour, the traffic coming up behind him at 75. Staring at the driver of the slow-moving pickup with Kansas tag S, they went around him. Gary smiling the whole time, just knowing that in all probability, they thought he was Farmer Brown coming to town in his old pickup. Gary wishing he had a hat on to tip at the spectator. Deciding to check in at the $16.95 a night Motel 6 across Meridian Avenue from the Holiday Inn West. The Holiday Inn, Gary's home away from home a decade ago, spending 4 years of his life playing keyboard and piano 6 nights a week at the Pirates Cove Club. Placing a call to Kay and Marlo, letting them know of his arrival, asking if there was anything special they wanted to do. Kay relating that Marlo had an all-girl Little League baseball game scheduled for tomorrow and thought that he might enjoy watching his daughter play. The Saturday found Gary seeing his good friend Jerry Willis, wife Shirley, and visiting his ex-mother-in-law Helen. During the ball game, Gary seated, his ex-wife pointing to a lady seated some distance from them, asking if he recognized her. Gary scrutinizing the person, finally shaking his head saying that he couldn't place her. Kay laughingly, saying it was Sue Mason, the girl he broke up with 18 years ago, to go with her. With another look Gary saw the resemblance, the main difference was the weight. 17 years ago Sue and Kay were both a petite 105 pounds. And where Kay remained a petite 105, Sue had managed to add a lot of carry-on baggage. The trip to Oklahoma City to see his daughter provided a confidence in the Dodge, but that wasn't his intent. Concluding, the reason of purpose traverses the act of attainment.